Hello and welcome to Select 10. Science fiction has always enjoyed immense appeal among a wide audience. And why not? When a science fiction movie is done well, it provides the audience with an appealing intellectual story, combined with magnificent visuals and top-notch special effects. So today we're going to talk about 10 exceptional sci-fi films that capitalize entirely on their narratives while utilizing effective cinematic methods to create an atmosphere of wonder that surrounds the universe and personalities they're showcasing. And do tell us about your favorite science fiction film in the comments section below. Now let's start the video. Number 10. Repeat. It is a sci-fi thriller directed by Grant Archer and Richard Miller. The plot centers on Ryan and Emily, whose marriage is breaking down after their daughter Sam mysteriously disappears after class. Ryan, meanwhile, is a psychologist by profession who spends the majority of his time giving lectures at universities. But one day, while working on one of his numerous research projects, he makes the unthinkable discovery of being able to interact with the afterlife. However, his excitement is cut short when he tries to contact his missing daughter, putting her in a dangerous situation. But when every opportunity fails, he decides to investigate on his own, ignorant of the consequences, in an effort to learn the truth. Repeat is not about science or technology. Rather, the film shifts between science fiction, a mystical story, and a little bit of horror. But despite its modest budget and passable CGI, the film still tells an interesting tale that will keep your interest till the very end. The emotionally charged narrative explores ideas related to death, loss, and family sadness, and it is absolutely worth watching. Number 9. Prospect. It is a science fiction adventure film directed by Zeke Earl and Chris Caldwell. The plot centers around a young girl and her dad who journey to a distant alien colony in the hopes of getting rich. It all began when they obtained authorization to collect a significant quantity of the rare jewels buried deep below the planet's hazardous jungle. However, they are unaware that others are scavenging the forest as well, and as a result of that, their straightforward task swiftly transforms into a struggle for survival. After unexpected occurrences, the girl finds herself having to negotiate not just with the other vicious beings of the forest but also with her father's greed, while she has to create her own route to get away. Despite a few flaws that leave the story feeling a little empty, Prospect is a strong and gritty space sci-fi thriller with stunning costumes and a refreshing but simple plot. The story is set in the science fiction genre's more grounded end, but it has subtle indications of a deeper and more imaginative world that have been thoughtfully shared in favor of a completely gripping idea. It is an underappreciated film that enthusiasts of science fiction must see. Number 8. Fast Color. It is a superhero sci-fi film directed by Julia Hart. The plot follows a young woman named Ruth who has extraordinary powers and must escape after her skills are found out. She is pursued by unknown forces, and with nowhere else to go, she makes the desperate decision to get back to her family and the rural home she had previously left behind. As soon as she arrives there, Ruth reunites with her separated mother and daughter who try to help Ruth manage her powers. As the three women then begin to feel like a family once more, Ruth finds herself driven to confront her dark side and past as her hunters reach up to her. Yes, it has the standard superhero on the run concept, but this isn't a typical superhero movie. Instead, it is a beautifully shot film with a really creative premise and a unique twist on the typical superhero narrative. At times, however, it can be a bit slow-moving and strange, yet people should nevertheless watch it to get a fresh superhero feel. Number 7. I Am Mother. It is a cyberpunk sci-fi thriller film directed by Grant Sputer. The narrative is set following the annihilation of mankind and follows the story of a teenage girl named Daughter who is provided with care by an artificial intelligence created to help replenish the planet. As she grows up, Daughter is made aware that she is the sole human remaining and that interaction with anyone else could be harmful to her welfare. However, her secluded life becomes disrupted when a human arrives at the center and claims that she's been attacked by a robot. The story takes a dark turn at this point as the daughter is forced to doubt her mother's motives and truthfulness by the woman's arrival and her claims. However, if she decides to believe the woman, she will either have to abandon her mother, the only family that she has ever known, or eliminate it. The first half of the picture is slow and thoughtful, though the film's setting within a spooky bunker keeps it interesting. Overall, it is a very different, ambient, and frightening sci-fi robot thriller that adopts a fresh approach to the robot and post-apocalyptic cliches, which greatly enhances the narrative. The entire time, this movie keeps the audience interested and thinking about issues regarding how humans and technology interact and it adds just enough of an innovative viewpoint to make it enjoyable. Number 6. The Blackout. It is a sci-fi action thriller film directed by Igor Baranov. The story takes place in the midst of a terrible incident in which things went wrong and nearly every community on planet lost connection to one another. But a small area, resembling a ring, in Eastern Europe, remains connected to electrical power and reports that life is present in space, but what the armed forces find beyond the ring are deceased individuals everywhere. So basically, the basic question you should have by this point is, who is responsible for this unfortunate event, who is killing people, and who is obliterating every living thing on Earth? And that is the teasing point that keeps you hooked. The rest of the movie shows how the military works to figure out what happened and try to communicate with the rest of the world. The story also compresses a lot into its 2 hours, with the first being mostly story and character-oriented, and the second full of crazy action. Blackout's strongest points are its thrilling battle sequences and dramatic closing sequence, which make for an enjoyable viewing experience. Number 5. Boca. It is a sci-fi fantasy adventure film directed by Bong Joon-ho. The film is about Midja, who has spent the past 10 wonderful years taking care of and living with the enormous beast, Boca, on her family's property in the South Korean highlands. However, everything shifts when Okja is taken by a family-run international company, Miranda Organization, and sent to New York, where an executive director with extreme goals for Midja's best friend. Now, in an effort to save her companion, Midja embarks on a rescue operation that puts her in the middle of a dark business plot. The comedy and emotions that were conveyed in the movie were excellent, but the story's fundamental strength, which elevates the movie to greatness, is the bond between a girl and her friend Okja, as well as its amazing special effects, which vividly bring its animal star to life. Even if the movie is rather eccentric and inconsistent, it undoubtedly has heart and excellent performances all throughout. Number 4. The Man from Earth. It is a sci-fi drama film directed by Richard Schenkman. The plot centers on lecturer John Oldman, whose spontaneous farewell celebration turns into a shadowy investigation when he tells his fellow employees that he has a deeper and a darker background than they all can't imagine. When he declares that he is a prehistoric who has been hiding out for over 14,000 years, chaos starts. The majority of the movie takes place within Oldman's home, and the story develops as a result of his philosophical discussions with the rest of the professors. Only a few of you may see this one because most people's expectations of science fiction include aliens, other planets, or some form of plot involving technology gone awry. And this one lacks all of these. It only has science, which plays with your mind and thoughts. Number 3. I Origins. It is a sci-fi romantic drama film directed by Mike Cahill. The plot follows Dr. Ian Gray, a biologist, and Karen, one of his assistants, who work together to carry out an extensive study on the history of human eyes. However, his obsession with eyes eventually leads them into regions that have significant social and psychological effects, where he unearths facts that could have a major impact on the entire human race. What he uncovers during his quest should be enough to make you curious to watch this film, because giving away more plot details will make them spoilers. This wild story is definitely better seen in person, and the film offers a truly fascinating perspective on a scenario that could have the most profound effects on humanity. Some people might avoid it because it combines romance and science fiction, but if you're up for seeing something different in science fiction, you're in for an absolute treat. Number 2. The Maze Runner Trilogy. It is a dystopian science fiction film directed by Wes Ball. This film is the first in the Maze Runner film series, which contains 3 outstanding films that have unusual sci-fi settings and concepts that you haven't seen before. The main story revolves around Thomas, who is left in a settlement of men after having his memory wiped. Meanwhile, the other youths who were placed there before him are also like him because they have no recall of their past lives. They are all trapped in the middle of a massive maze with no means of getting out. But soon after his arrival, Thomas shows off a distinct viewpoint, which earns him an upgrade to runner level. Here, the runners represent those who search the constantly shifting maze for a way out. Thomas joins hands with other runners, together with the weird newcomer and the only girl, for a chance at freedom. This innovative setting creates a genuinely interesting adventure that you will see in the following 2 flicks. The second movie takes place after their escape, which puts them in another trap, while the third movie centers on a deadly disease for which Thomas and his team look for a cure. Although the final 2 films are not as good as the first, you won't be able to avoid watching them after seeing the first. The plot is simply out of this world and contains a ton of riddles and surprises that you won't be able to predict. Number 1. Predestination. It is a science fiction action thriller film directed by Michael and Peter Spierig. The narrative centers on an exceptional time investigator named the Barkeep who, for the sake of his last mission, is required to go after the one culprit who has evaded him throughout the time. His goal is to time travel to stop the attack in New York in 1975. But the search proves to be outside the limits of what is possible, and the pursuit develops into a shocking and mind-bending investigation of romance, destiny, identity, and time travel restrictions. Predestination thrives on its numerous twists and has all the characteristics of what quality science fiction is supposed to have. It is both unique and odd, and the film is made even more gripping by outstanding performances by Ethan Hawke and Sarah Snook. Overall, it is a mind-bending time travel film that has more to say about creative concepts than action, and it does excel in intriguing the mind and reaching its audience's emotions with its unexpected turns and twists. It is one of the best time travel films of all time. That's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. And do subscribe our channel to see more videos related to movies and series suggestions.